Yes, it does. The wonderful Rhonda Dene. So it is my great privilege now to introduce our speaker. So anybody who's been around Science of Mind knows the name Eugene Holden. And I had the great privilege of taking a class with Eugene, which he introduced at my first year practitioner retreat. He was speaking on behalf of Reverend Ken, who had a temporary adjustment in his life at the moment. And he talked about the third year of practitioner training. I'm thinking, what the heck is this guy talking about? So I think I'm now in my fifth year of practitioner training. And Eugene, you've been a practitioner for 17 years, so you're in your 17th year, yeah?
18th, yeah.
Yeah, now he's in his 18th year, okay.
Sheesh.
So Eugene has been a Science of Mind student for 35 years, and I know that continues because our student life never ends. So for 15 years, Eugene was the manager of the 10 years he was the manager of the World Ministry of Prayer, which I serve on today. 15 years he was a contributor, and that's probably in the 16 now. Year of contributing to Science of Mind magazine. The course I took with him, Flying Higher and Diving Deeper, continues. So Eugene allows vision to guide him. It is prayer that fuels him, and it is Eugene's purpose to assist people in remembering what and whose and what they are, divine beings of light. And together, revealing heaven on earth. And what is heaven? The ever expanding good. And without my further mumbling, I will give you Eugene Holden.
Good morning. Good morning, Jan. Thank you so very much. Good morning, Centers for Spiritual Living, Rockland. Man, I am excited about being here today. So let's just get right into this. So the year's theme is living out loud. Living out loud. And this month we take it a notch higher to me, and we are committing to love out loud. And it's really no difference between living out loud and loving out loud, because to live out loud is to love. To love out loud is to live, right? So Jan, thank you so much for Corinthians. I grew up around the Bible a lot, but now I have a different point of view on that because I grew up, right? And realized that, that's what they were teaching me was not the truth of what they're supposed to be teaching me, but that's okay. So I woke up, and then I began to live my life loud. And so in that same book called the New Testament, in last week we talked about love thy neighbor. And the verse goes like this. The Pharisees went to the master teacher, the Rabbi Yeshua Messiah, and said, "Oh, Master, what is the greatest of the commandments?" And he said, there are two. And the first commandment is to love the Lord thy God with all your heart, your mind, and your might, meaning with everything that you have. Your heart, your mind, and with all your strength. Love God with everything that you have. And I love the way that this is put. And the second commandment is just like unto the first. It's just the same. And that is to love thy neighbor as you love yourself. Operative word here in that love thy neighbor as you love yourself. The operative word here is as. So I am to love my neighbor as I love myself. That's one way to look at it. Another way is to love my neighbor as if it's myself, as if my neighbor is myself, right? So it's always coming back to self, because the first part of that, to love the Lord thy God, and so where do we find God? Yes, all around us, but also it is the essence of who we are. So it always comes back to the God self of who we are. right? To love thy neighbor as we love ourselves. Now, what I like to say is that our neighbor is not necessarily that person who lives next door. In fact, that neighbor is that person that might push your button or get on your last nerve. Now, why we wait until the last nerve, I don't know. Let's love them and on the first nerve, right? But to your neighbor is that person who may not have the same opinions as you. Your neighbor could be that person who is experiencing homelessness. Right? That neighbor could be that person that's at your office that just ticks you off. So now we are here to make a shift in this thing called love. Love is all inclusive. You know, the last line, I think it's in verse 8, right, of that chapter that I love, love never fails. So check this out, right? If we are love, and we are love incarnate here on the spiritual plane called earth. And if love never fails, then that means that we never fail. Now, I know I can sense some of you going, yeah, Eugene, you just don't know. In fact, I was speaking with a friend of mine just a few days ago, who he's just in a bad way. He has to file bankruptcy. He tried this big project, which looked great. It was great. But he kept saying, you know, Eugene, I have failed. I'm like, no, you haven't failed. You know, it just didn't work. He says, listen, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, right? So for him, for right now, he wants to stay in that mode of failure, you know, which means that he's going to feel bad about himself. He's going to beat himself up. And I couldn't, that was not the time for me to say, well, you know, love always wins. Love never fails. That wasn't the time for me to say that to him because, you know, we have to allow people to be where they are. But then as he comes out of this and I get a chance to talk with him, it's not that he has failed. It's not that we fail because we are love, right? It's that failure is just another signpost to say this didn't work. Go this way, right? Because again, love never fails. So if love doesn't fail, then what does love do? Love wins. Love always wins. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care what you have done. I don't care what you've not done. Love wins. So what does it take for us to experience that? What does it take for us to change our thinking? Oh, to have a new thought, to where we are no longer feeling that we have failed or that we are less than. What needs to happen is we are to look at ourselves the way that spirit looks at ourselves, or the way that spirit looks at itself as us. Catch that, right? If there's no separation, and there isn't, to look at ourselves the way that spirit, the way that God, the way that love looks at itself through us. Because we are the thing itself. So now, because love wins, love always wins, because love never fails, our mission, if we choose to accept it, for those of us who were back in the day with Mission Impossible, our mission is to love ourselves. Our mission is really to love ourselves, you know, to love ourselves, going back to that verse, to love thy neighbor as I love myself. Well, then let me really look at self. Do I love myself enough to stop the habit for me of eating Ben & Jerry's half-baked ice cream, the whole pint, every other night? Do I love myself enough to give that addiction up? Uh-oh, not addiction. Yes, addiction. Do I love myself enough to have the courageous conversations that I need to have with people in my relationship or within my sphere? Right? Do I love myself enough to think higher of myself? Do I love myself enough to love myself? See, these are questions that I pose to myself every single day. Do I love myself? Eugene, do you love yourself enough today not to go get that ice cream? I go, yes, I am committed to loving myself in that way. And then later in the day, I might find myself going to the store because I know what I'm going for because I don't need anything else. But I'm going to get that pint of ice cream. And then I remind myself, no, I love myself enough to leave that alone. Now, that may sound like it's a little small thing, but eating a pint of ice cream every other day, after a while, the body will be affected. So what are we going to do? What is in your life today where you get to say, I love myself enough to give this up? I love myself enough to surrender to love. I love myself enough to surrender to love. Now, the reason why I want to bring surrender into this is because surrender is a powerful thing. For all of the men who are here today and who may tune in a little bit later, you know, some of us grew up, not all of us, some of us grew up believing that surrender is or was a weak thing. You know, don't you give up, don't you cry, uncle, don't tap out, right? Don't surrender, because surrender was, in my eyes, looked at as some weakness, but surrender is one of the most powerful things that we can do. When I surrender, that means that I have finally got clear on how I'm doing it is not working, does not work. Now, the other thing about surrender, there's another word that goes hand in hand with surrender, and this has to do with love, right? Let me surrender to love. Let me surrender to love. The other word, or the word that goes along with surrender, is trust. It's trust. Rhonda, that song, Love, you know, Ricky Byers, man, she writes some songs, and there's a song she has called Trust Love. And in that song, there's a verse, there's a line that goes, no one ever loses when one trusts love. To love is to live in the holy breath of God, right? To love is to live in the holy breath of life. So imagine what it would be like, brothers and sisters, if we all now decided right now to love ourselves and to love our neighbors as we love ourselves, because we know, because we're surrendering to it, because we trust love, we know that love wins. So what I would like for you to do is to, this week, at least one time, you're going to love it so much, you're going to do it at least three times. Before you walk into an establishment, stop, take a breath, and imagine that you're walking in as love. It's as easy as, I am love walking in here. And watch how that will change the vibration of the room. If nothing else, it changes the way that you show up. I say if nothing else, but that's everything, right? It shows up, it changes the way that you show up, and then watch how people interact with you. I moved yesterday, which is why I'm not on my laptop. And the guys who came in to help, from the moment they walked in, because I set up the space, that they're walking into a space of love, even though they're going to be moving the boxes and all the stuff, but they're walking into a space of love. After they were done, well, I have to say that they were 3 hours late, but I love myself enough so much. I love myself enough not to get upset, because I can't change that, right? 3 hours late, which put everything behind. But there's no sense in me getting upset. So when they walked in, they walked into this vibration of love. And when they left, one of the workers said, you know, I got to say that you have been the best person that I have worked with in the last three weeks, right? What are they feeling? They're feeling the vibration of love. Now, I know that there may be some of you who have had the experience of having the heart broken. Love, right? Because the heart is a symbol of love. And because of that experience, whatever the experience was, then and I can attest to this myself, we can be afraid to put our heart out there, afraid of being loved, afraid of being hurt, I should say, afraid of not being loved, afraid of whatever that is, right? My heart is broken. No, 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 no. The heart being the symbol of love, love is never broken. Love is kind, love is gentle, love never fails. What's breaking is the ego's attachment to the relationship. It's not that our heart is broken, it's that the ego is having having a hard time with what's going on. See, the heart never breaks. Love never breaks because love wins. Love wins. And maybe that relationship has come to an end so that we may find a better way or a deeper way or a wider way, a greater way to love. And after going through the heartache and the pain of, oh, they left me and or it just didn't work out, then we get to the point, oh, wait a minute, let me love them and let me thank them for the experience of love. So I'm trusting that all of this is making sense. Love wins. So to love out loud, ooh, man, Spirit, thank you. Hang on. Thank you. To love out loud is to be your pure, authentic self. To be your most outrageous self, if you're that outrageous type of person. Like, I'm not outrageous, but I love life. So love your life as if life loves you, because it does. Right? Love out loud. Love out loud. So if you're an artist, then do your art out loud. If you're a singer, sing out loud. Well, if you're a singer, I guess you have to sing out loud, otherwise we can't hear you. So that, and you know what I'm saying, right? But sing from your heart. Do your art from your heart, right? Love is a heart-centered way of being. Love is a heart-centered way of being. Speaking about musicians and artists and writers and poets and all of that, you ever think about this phrase? Let me work my way into it. We have heard before that I know it here. No, the intellect doesn't know it, right? The intellect, this is where we believe it, but we know it in our heart. That's why poets, musicians play music, recite their poetry by heart, right? Let's play it by ear. No, let's play it by heart. Let's live out loud. Let's love out loud from our heart. Let's not be afraid to show up and to show out. Let's shine our lights as we were created to do. Let's be the light that we were created to be. Let's be the love that we were created to be. I play with verses all the time, right? And one of them is in all thine get understanding. Yes, and the gospel according to Eugene is in all thine getting, get out of the way. Let spirit do what spirit does, right? To love in such a way where we are just knowing that we are uplifted and we are guided and directed, which means let me surrender to the love, right? Another verse is like that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Man, that translation is so backwards. That's not what it was translated to say. And I'm not going to give you the translation. I'm going to give you what it means for me. That God so loved the world that it turned upon itself, clothed itself, recreated itself, and then named itself you, and everyone else. Right? So God known by any other name, it is still God. So God known by Jan, it is still God. God known by Karen, it is still God. God known by Brian, it is still God. God known as Sue, it is still God, because there's no separation. Once we really get that, once we really get that there is no separation, once we really get that we are life incarnate, that we are God incarnate, once we really get that we are made in the spiritual image and likeness of the one, and in the spiritual image and likeness doesn't mean that it looks like a human being. The image of the divine is pure light. Once we get that we are pure light, oh man, now we have a party going on. Now we get to touch lives in ways that we may never even know. Somebody said to me years ago, he says, Eugene, you know why people love you? Is because you love life. I love everything about life. So the next time that you're out walking or driving, stop and take a look at the clouds or a tree or listen to a bird, right? And then listen to it, look at it from a place of love, from a place of unification, because we are one with that which is going on all around us. Lastly, you can never fail. It is not possible for you to fail, because you created in the spiritual image and likeness of love itself. It is love that breathes your breath so that love can experience life through you. It is love that beats your heart so that love can experience life through you. It is not possible for you to fail. Therefore, knowing that love wins, love out loud. Let's anchor this in prayer. So this is what I know. I know that there is one power, there is one presence, there is one life, and it's called by different names. Sometimes it is known as God. Sometimes it is known as Yahweh. Sometimes it is known as Allah. Sometimes it is known as Olodumare or Vudun or great grandfather or holy mother. But whatever we call it forth into our conscious awareness, recognizing that it is at the very center of all of life, recognizing that it is the infinite intelligence from which all things are created, recognizing that it is the nature of this divine to permeate and to penetrate and to fill the interspaces of the universe. And then recognizing, wait, there's more, recognizing that right where we are, it is. Right here, right now, God is, we are. See, there's no place we can go where God is not. That's impossible, because we are created from that infinite intelligence. We are the infinite intelligence made flesh. We are the word of God made flesh. Catch this, that everywhere we go, we are God in action. And so it is from our awareness of our oneness in God that I speak this word, anchoring this message that love wins. That no matter where we go shining and expressing love. And that there is no way that we can possibly fail, because love wins. And so we just absolutely stand in the divine recognition that right where we are, love is. So that when you see me, that when people see us, they see the expression of love that has created us and has created them. See, there is no us in them. There's no separation, but sometimes words, these are the words that we get to use. And I love that. So as we open up and as we trust and surrender to the love of life that has created us to experience life itself, we know that all is well. We get to let go of all the stress. We get to let go of all the strain. We get to let go of all of the thoughts of fear, doubt, and worry. We allow those thoughts to dissipate and to disappear and to go away like smoke in the wind. They just fade away. And instead, we turn the other cheek, meaning that we look in the opposite direction of the fear, doubt, and the worry, and we look in the direction of pure love. We look in the direction of beauty. We look in the direction of creativity. We look in the direction of joy, for we are the joy of God. For this and for so much more than these words can ever say, I remain forever grateful and thankful. It is from this space of gratitude and thanksgiving that I now release my word into the law. I release it by taking away, I release any attachment to how I think this word should be fulfilled. I release any and all attachment. I just allow God to be God, knowing that this word is already fulfilled because this word is a law unto itself, and all it knows and ever will know is its own fulfillment. And so fulfilled, we lovingly allow it to be. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. Ashe. Amen. Peace and abundant blessings.